Hey everybody, it's Pastor Jeremy. Thank you so much for watching our videos online. We're in a current series called Stained Glass, where we're looking at the distinctive marks of a Christian. If you want to know more information about our church and other activities and Bible studies and groups that we have going on, please visit our website at 7sd.org. If you'd like to donate to the ministry, we sure would appreciate that. You can do that many ways on the website, or you can text any amount to 7sd@mogive.com. Thanks a lot. Hope you enjoy. We're talking today, one of our core values as a church is, and you'll find this out as you go through our steps, the 7 steps, is saved people serve people. And today, as we look at this core value, as we look at this particular message in the Stained Glass series, this whole series we've been looking at the different ways that we are distinctly Christian. In our culture, it has been so watered down. It has been so, it's hard to tell. Some people say they're Christian, but they're not living it. They're not showing through Christian values or even what the Bible says. They're taking the Bible and they're twisting Scripture and stuff like that. And then people are going, what is a Christian today? And so we've taken this series to say, this is what Christianity is. This is what it means to be distinctly Christian. Today, to be distinctly Christian means you serve. You serve the Lord. And what does that look like? And how do we do that? And that's what we're going to walk through today. And in John chapter 13, Jesus sets us an example. I want to set the story up for you. The disciples are walking and they're hanging out, 12 disciples, and they're heading up towards the Last Supper, the upper room. And they're going to have the last meal together. And on the way, they're talking to each other about who's the greatest among them. Right? They're talking about who's greatest, who's going to be greatest in the kingdom of God. They're like hanging out, like, I think it's going to be me. Just how I'm picturing it. It's probably going to be me because I was with Jesus when he did the whole mud on the eyes thing and he healed that dude. I was there, so maybe I had something to do with that. I think I'm going to be up there in the kingdom. You guys are going to serve me, kind of an idea. And there's probably some joking going back and forth and probably some of the guys thinking, I'm greater than you. And so they get to the house where they're going to have the meal. And you got to understand, Middle Eastern times, back in those days, when you came to a house, there was usually an employee, a servant of the household, that was assigned to, when guests came, they would wash the feet of the guests. Now, back in those days, you had sandals. That's what most people cruised around in, sandals. And you had very much a desert, Mediterranean desert environment, as it is today in Israel. And so when they would come into the house, you've got dirty feet, right? Your feet are full of dirt and everything else you picked up on the way. Well, at the table, when you went to eat, the table isn't like today's tables, The tables were very low to the ground, very close to the ground. And so when you, as the Bible says, recline at a table, you'd kind of sit to the side a little bit, and your feet would be up next to the person who's closest to you and near the food. So it was really important that you had clean feet when you went to someone's house to have dinner. And so they go to this house to have the Last Supper, and on the way, they're arguing about who's greater. And they get to the house, and there's no servant to wash the feet. Nobody's there. No one's assigned to do it, and here's the 12 dudes, and none of them will step up and say, hey, I'll let you guys line it up, I'll do it. None of them. They're all looking at each other. Because remember, they just had this argument about who's greater. And so they're like, you wash my feet, bro. And Peter's like, come on, Andrew, get over here. Wash it up. I can picture that, right? But nobody's budging. Everybody's full of pride and, I'm not doing it. So what does Jesus do? Jesus picks up a towel, gets the wash basin. Let's go. And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. They're like, no. Even Peter, right? Peter's like, no, Lord, never. That's not going to happen. And the Lord tells them, then you have no part of me. He tells them, Peter and the disciples, listen, it's not all about position, like you get a higher position, you're cooler than that guy. He goes, it's all about this. And so he goes, let's go one by one. And he washes each of the disciples' feet. He tells them, this is what it means to be a Christian. This is what it means to follow me. It means you're not afraid to pick up a towel. You're not afraid to say, I'll wash your feet. Now, there's a couple things you have to understand about stories in Scripture and things in descriptions of events, okay? Some of them are prescriptive, and some of them are descriptive, okay? And I'll explain the difference. Certain things in Scripture, when you read it, it's prescriptive of the Christian life. In other words, it's a prescription. You need to do this every time. Like, this is what you're supposed to do as a Christian, okay? That's prescriptive. But there are other things in stories and events that happen that are simply descriptive. What is descriptive? Well, it's describing an event that took place that teaches a greater truth. The event that took place was the washing of the disciples' feet. That was an illustration of being willing to serve. All right? We got to be willing to serve. It doesn't mean every time everyone comes to church that we're supposed to wash everybody's feet. And there are some denominations that do that. Every time they come to church, people take off their shoes. And, okay, and that's fine. I'm not, we're just not going to do that here. I know some of you are really bummed right now as your sandals. You're kicking off your shoes. You're like, sweet, where do we line up? But it's descriptive of servanthood. It's not prescriptive of church and what you should do all the time. And so he gives us this description. And even in the verse in John 13, 14, and 15, he tells us that. He says, now that I, your Lord and teacher, right, who as in their view is up here, the Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you should also wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. There's no job too low. When you're saved, you serve. Because that's the whole idea. He says other things like the last will be first, the first will be last. I will exalt the humble. I will humble those who exalt themselves, and pride comes before a fall. So I titled this message, How to Do Christianity, because a lot of people maybe in their head know Christianity or think they know Christianity, but Christianity isn't about thinking in that sense. It's about doing. It's about being a doer of the word. And I absolutely believe that the key to lasting service to our Lord through the church is to find where you fit, is to find a ministry where you fit, to find out how you're built, and then try different opportunities. And that's where you're going to stick, where you're going to go, yes, this is what I'm supposed to do. And you need to understand, we're not here to guilt anybody into anything. If you ever feel, as we talked about a couple weeks ago in the giving talk, if you ever feel guilted, obligated into doing something, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. Because just like giving, serving's the same thing. You got to have margin in your life, like we talked about budgeting and stuff like that. You got to have margin in your life to be able to say, I have planned my life out in such a way that hour on a Sunday is when I serve. So I'm okay. I don't feel obligated. I don't feel like I have to do this. All right? So we'll talk more about that. This is so important because here's the reality. When serving becomes a burden, it's usually one of two things. It's either your heart or your role. Either your heart has dried up because you're so busy with a lot of other things, you haven't been spending time with the Lord. You haven't been, connecting with Him in prayer, and you haven't been reading His Word consistently, so your heart naturally dries up. That's what happens, okay? If you unplug from the power source, that's what's going to happen, okay? That's a natural result. You're going to find yourself going further and further away from the Lord. Serving doesn't make sense anymore, all right? Or you're just in the wrong role. You might be dutifully doing what you think you're supposed to do, but you hate it. You don't fit. Okay, so we encourage you to find a role, and I'll talk more about that. You're never stuck, especially if you hate something. You're never stuck in that role of ministry. So I want to talk to you about how God has made you so that you can find your right fit in what you're supposed to be doing. For some of you that's been through our Step 3 class, this is going to be review, most of it, because we talk about this in depth in our Step 3 class. But I want to go over it. I think it's important as we talk about serving. And there are 3 verses I'm going to focus on. Psalm 139. You see it there in your notes and on the screen. You, God, made all the delicate inner parts of my body, and you knit them together in my mother's womb. You were there when I was being formed. Look at this. You saw me before I was born, and you scheduled each day of my life before I even began to breathe. Obviously, this is creation. This is God intimately creating you, designed you to be who You are. This goes against evolution, of course. You didn't come from a fish, and then you started to somehow get on land, and then you started crawling as a frog, and then you went from that and you became eventually to a monkey, all right? And then you went from monkey on 4 legs and hands and everything else, and you started standing up, It takes more faith to believe that, people. I mean, I looked it up this week just because I wanted to make sure in my head. I'm like, what are they still teaching out there in public schools about evolution? And I looked at it. It takes way more faith to believe that than a creator God who knit me together in my mother's womb. God planned you before you were born. That's what the Bible says. Hey, listen to me. We say it all the time. You're not an accident. You might have heard, across the room, your parents talking to Uncle James, and you heard this, yeah, well, Stevie's our little accident. And you're like, ah! They didn't mean to have me, Maybe across the room you heard that and you're like, it just threw you off. You're going, oh no. Listen, I've said it before. There are accidental parents. There are no accidental kids. Okay, God used those 2 people to produce you in your uniqueness. He used the chromosomes and he used their DNA to make your unique DNA. You're not an accident. You're not an accident. Find somebody around you. Tell them, you're not an accident. All right, now do it this time and mean it. All right? I mean, come on. Some of you are like, oh. Looking around. I don't know. Okay, Ephesians 2:10, look what it says. We are God's workmanship. I want to pause. I want you to circle that in your notes. That word workmanship. Remember, the New Testament was originally written in the Greek language. That word workmanship in the Greek is the Greek word poema. Poema. That word, in some translations, actually translated this way, is translated masterpiece. When he says you are God's workmanship, he's saying you are God's masterpiece. You are one of a kind. When God produces a masterpiece, when an artist produces a masterpiece, it's their masterpiece, right? It's their one big work. This verse here, it says you are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to watch TV. What does it say? To do good works. Now, there's time to watch TV, but I'm just saying, to do good works, which God prepared when? Yes, in advance, right? And so go back to our previous verse, Psalm 139. He prepared these works in advance while he was knitting you together in your mother's womb. He's got it all planned out. He's got it figured out. And he gives us the free will to find out or to push it away. We'll keep talking along those lines. But you were made for a distinct reason, for a distinct purpose. God not only planned you in advance, but he knows what he wants you to do in this life. For the period of time he has you here. And he has incredibly mastermind our bodies and our mind. Our brain can store 100 trillion facts. It's our brain. Our mind can handle 15,000 decisions a second. Think about that. I mean, that's incredible workings that he has produced. Our nose can smell up to, listen to this, 10,000 different odors. I know every single one. Mine is extremely sensitive. I told you this last week if you were here. I can smell things like a mile away. I know every person in here who has a cat. Okay? I'm going to point to you. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm sensitive that way. I can smell things like a mile away. Okay? But that's how sensitive God designed us. Notice it says that we were created in Christ Jesus. We were created in Christ Jesus to do good works. He wants us to serve. He wants us to leave this place better than we found it. That's a big deal to God. Job 10:8. Talked about Job last week. He says, God's hands formed me and what? Shaped me. He says, hands actually formed us and shaped us. I mean, that's phenomenal. And the way that you're created determines your function in life, right? Like you can't just jump in an ocean and swim around underwater for hours like fish do. because you don't have gills, right? You weren't made with fish gills to be able to breathe underwater, right? That's not how you're supposed to function. You weren't given wings, so you can't just go around flying everywhere on your own. Why? Because that's not how you were formed. You have a specific function that God wants you to do. So I want us to go through these 5 things. 5 ways that God has designed us and things He's given us to make sure we understand what we're supposed to do. Okay, the very first thing here, and I want you to write down, is once you become a believer, He gives you spiritual gifts. It's one of the ways He makes you, is as believers, you get spiritual gifts. And in 1 Corinthians, it tells us each of you has your own gift from God. One has this gift, another has that. I love how that says that. All right? The moment you become a believer, you're given some spiritual gifts. Every single believer has at least one. Some of you have more than one, but listen, nobody has all of them. Nobody has every single gift. And that's purposeful by God because we need each other. And if we all had all the spiritual gifts, we'd be like, I don't need you, I don't need you, I don't need you. All right? Everybody has either one or a couple of these gifts. I put the list in your notes, and up on the screen is just a small, this is a short list, okay? A small sampling of some of the gifts. Administration. Some of you are very good, like office administration or details, things like that. That's a gift. Other people, they're way more free-flowing. They're like, I don't care about that stuff, right? But administration, entrepreneurship, you're good at starting things, in starting businesses, churches, stuff like that. Craftsmanship. Some of you are good with building things. You're carpenters, you're construction people. You're good at that stuff. You can go through the list. Encouraging, leadership, pastoring, shepherding, teaching. Some of you can speak multiple languages. You're bilingual, trilingual. Others of you show mercy. You're just really good at empathizing with people. These are gifts. These are all spiritual gifts. You can see them in your notes, and I put some other verses there to go look them up later and in your small groups this week. The only people that don't have spiritual gifts are people that are not believers in Jesus Christ. Okay, you don't have any spiritual gifts. The people that say yes to Jesus, you get these gifts. Secondly, okay, so you start with those spiritual gifts. And by the way, in the our third step, we help you figure that out, what yours are. Okay, we help you figure out your spiritual gifts. Okay, H. The next one is your heart. You might even put next to that your passions. These are the things that get you fired up. They get you excited. You're passionate about these things. Proverbs 4:3 tells us we got to protect that. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Why does it say protect our heart? Because you can be passionate about the wrong things. You can have a passion and a desire for wrong things. So he says protect it. Have a passion and desire for right things. Guard your heart. Don't let it just have anything. Don't let it just go after anything. Guard it, he says, because everything in your life flows from that. That's huge. These are your motivations, your interests, your core passions, things that really fired you up. Have you noticed certain things can get you excited, other things don't get you very excited? Well, that's something God's put in your heart, right? Tell me, just shout them out. What are some of your core passions? What are some of the things you're passionate about? Go ahead. Animals. Kids. Denver Broncos. Now, you remember what I said, right? Be passionate about the right things. You got to guard your heart. There are certain things you can't just let your heart go to. Okay? What else? Education. Passionate about education. What? Caregiving. What else? Huh? Family. Other passions. Music. Yes, music. Art. Go ahead. Handling money. Passionate. What? Huh? I didn't hear it. Worship. Yeah, you're passionate about worship. Family. What else? Anything else? Jesus. Yeah. I got to say spiritual stuff. Hey, that's all good. But I noticed there's not a lot of hobbies in there. How come you're not telling me your hobbies? You know why? This is why most people do. Most people will say, well, that's separate, right? No. People separate it. They go, well, I'm supposed to be passionate about spiritual things, important spiritual things. Yeah, that's good. You mentioned some of them. But God's given you passions for other things too. Hobbies. Sometimes we think God doesn't care about those. So give me some of your hobbies. Dirt biking. You don't. You did that for me. Yeah! Love dirt biking. What? Gardening. Cars. Cross stitch. What? Quilting. Fishing. Serving. What? Horseback riding. Softball. Shooting. Huh? Yeah. Coffee. Here's why I say that. All right. Here's the important thing about that. Eating. Yeah, foodies. Where's the foodies? Why didn't you say that? See, sometimes we think that's not spiritual. I can't say it in church. I can't say it. It's not spiritual. Listen, God has given you passions. He's given you passions. And so often, it took me a long time to realize this. I used to feel really guilty when I was having fun. I don't know if that was just the way I was brought up or what, but I remember even as a pastor, early on in being a pastor, I'd go out and have fun and it'd be like this guilty feeling, like I'm supposed to be just, in the Word all day, and it's like, look, God has given you passions and abilities. It's okay. It's okay to fulfill those, to enjoy those things. All right? Now, since you brought up dirt biking, I was out yesterday. And I went on a ride, okay? And here's the thing, I've got a dual sport, so I can go on the road and I can hit the dirt. So when I'm out traveling, I'm just cruising, I'm like, oh, there's a dirt road, and I can hit it. I love that, okay? So I was up in Mount Lagunas. I'd been around a bunch of trails in Mount Lagunas, and they got a bunch of trails up there. I don't know if you've been up there. Some of them, I guess, are for hikers. I didn't know. But anyway, so I'm cruising. I know now, but I was cruising and just going, and I found this road called Thing Valley Road. If you've been at Mount Laguna and you're up on the top of it, you see Thing Valley Road. I'm like, Thing Valley Road, what is that? It's a thing. Let's go. And so I just hit it in mile after mile of just dirt roads, ravines, rocks. And I was just having the time of my life, just discovering this stuff. Now, do you think God was looking at me going, oh, that kid? He needs to be right there. That boy needs to be in the Word right now. What is he doing? I'm going to make him crash, okay? No. You know what God was doing? It's a core passion of mine, to adventure. I love it. I love going on adventures. He's going, yes. He was excited to see his kid out there having fun. It's the same with you, whether it's food or babysitting dogs and cats, whatever it might be, okay? I question that one, but whatever it might be, whatever your passion might be, he loves it when you do that. He loves it. He's not sitting there going, golly, what a brat, He's just, I put that in Jeremy. I put that in you. I put that in you. Now go do it. You think I was praising the Lord more out in the middle of nowhere. I found some peaks and I found some valleys out there where it is so quiet. And I saw all kinds of animals, all kinds of them. And where it's just so quiet. And I'm just praising the Lord out there. I feel so close to the Lord out in places like that. Way more than if I'm in my study buried into the Word. Sometimes it's better to just get out and get close to Him in those ways. And so don't ever think these things these passions that He's given you can use them for the Lord. And you know what else? Is that your passion can become your ministry. I am still shocked to this day that we do not have a desert dirt bike riding ministry. We got all these people that ride dirt bikes, right? All these people. Write it down. Let's get it together. Why don't we go out there and have some fun together, man? I'll race you, beat you, and you'll be all sad and never come back to church. But listen, we'll have fun. We'll have fun. No, I don't race anymore. We'll have fun, though, okay? So these are important things. These are your emotional heartbeats. I mean, we all have a different physical heartbeat. Did you know that? Our hearts beat a little bit differently. We all have different fingerprints. And God has also given us different emotional heartbeats. Things that really fire us up. I could care less about scrapbooking, but don't tell Ray that. Guy loves it. You love it, Ray. Don't lie. All right? And okay? This is a place we can be honest with each other. All right, here we go. The A is abilities. Abilities. God gives us abilities, certain abilities. In Romans 12, it tells us God has given each of us the ability to do certain things well. Now, this is one where you don't have to be a Christian to get abilities. I mean, God gives everybody abilities. Even if they don't acknowledge back to God, he still gives people abilities. He still loves us so much that there's incredible abilities within our church. But you don't even have to be a Christian to get abilities. You know, God had given me the ability to play baseball, and it was through professional baseball that I came to the Lord. So he used my passion and ability to bring me to himself through that ability, and he'll do that for so many people. He does that. That's the way he does it. But he's given you some natural abilities. Some of you are really good at numbers, math, and geometry. You sailed through that. Algebra, calculus. Others say math freaks me out. I can't do it. You're just gifted that way. Some of you are good with words and talking, good with writing, good at building things, good at putting cars together, trucks back together. Some of you are good farmers. We have farmers in our church who are phenomenal farmers. Some of you are good with people. Some of you are not so good with people. Don't be in our greeter ministry. If you're not good, don't sign up for that one. All right? Some of you are good with horses and animals and things like those are abilities that God has given you. Some of you have natural athletic ability. Some of you are uncoordinated. Some of you, you just can't when it comes to that. Some of you have leadership abilities. You know, some of you are musicians. You have musical abilities. And this is one of the things too, and you'll be hearing more about it from our worship leaders, but we want more people in the music. And I know they're so good, they're phenomenal that it's sometimes intimidating. Like, I ain't getting up there. That's not what we want. I mean, we want excellent music, but we want you to be involved too. There's so many different avenues that we could plug you into musically. So many different ways we'd love to do that. We're going to get a youth band going, kids band going. We'll have multiple bands up here. That's what we're wanting, but we don't know who's musical. So write it down so we can audition you, get you going. And even if you're like not ready for the stage, we can develop you. Because some of you have that musical ability. Some of you can sing. You can't play an instrument, but you can sing. Why don't you sing for us? Sing with us. Be a background singer and move your way up to being a worship leader. I don't know, but write it down. Don't know. Some of you can't sing. Right? You're prison singers. You know that one. Always behind a few bars, never have the right key. That's a prison singer. Yeah. That's the truth. Okay? Don't sign up for singing. And that's why we sing as a group. And someone leads us. That's important. I'm not a good singer, but when I sing with everybody, it's tolerable. So, all right? But see, some of us have certain abilities and some of us don't. And it's a travesty when someone tries to do something that they don't have the ability for. You're missing out on what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, that's huge to understand. So we got these three things we've learned. Now let's go on to the fourth. These three are huge, but this fourth one is also important, and it's your personality. Your personality. God's given you a specific kind of personality. 1 Corinthians 12 tells us God works through different people in different ways. God shapes you by giving you a unique personality. Now, even though there's all these personality tests that are out there, you're never just one, really. You're never just like, this is your, melancholy or phlegmatic or sanguine. You're not just one. You're mostly one, right? But you're always a mixture of these things. But you lean towards one most of the time, all right? So these different kind of personality traits. Now, we did this in our marriage series back in May, so this will be very familiar, but I still want to do this test because we always have new people. This is a good test to kind of figure out your personalities. When you go to the beach or a pool, how many of you are the type to just go in? You just run in the water or you dive in the pool? Just raise your hand. All right, not as many this service, not a bunch of risk takers here. How many of you like to tiptoe in? You like to feel it? A lot of tiptoers at the 9:30. Wow. Okay, so a lot of times those who like to just plunge in marry those who just tiptoe in. It's just an interesting way that God does that, right? How about when you play a game, whether it's checkers, whether it's basketball, whether it's whatever game it is that you play, how many of you are super competitive? You want to win, doesn't matter what the game is. If we're playing, might as well win. Okay. How many of you are like, dude, it's just a game. I'm just playing. Look at that. It's like split. Super competitive people usually marry those who don't care. It's just very interesting. Very interesting. How many of you are the organized type? You got your ducks in a row. You like to be organized. Gives you structure. How many of you are like, nope, I go with the flow? Probably married someone the opposite. How many of you along those lines, you like routine? You like your routine. You like things pretty much consistent. Yep, okay. How many are like, I want to go with the flow again. I don't like a routine. I need things changed. Yeah? You need things changed up. See? That's very interesting. How about when you make decisions? How many of you would say, when I make a decision, I like to write out the good and the bad, the positive, the negative. I like to really think it through and process it. How many of those of you? Okay, and how many of you are like, I just go with my gut. I feel it. Yeah. Yep. All right. And the last one, how many of you would say you tend to be extroverted? Extroverted people. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Extroverted, and this is the way you kind of know. And how many are introverted, by the way? How many introverted? Okay. Then you say, the way you kind of know that is at a party. If you go to a party, extroverted people like to try to get to everybody. Like, you got to meet everybody, right? So you go around, you want to hear their story, but not a lot of their story, right? You just want enough, because you don't want to miss out on getting other people. So you just want to say, hey, I'm Jeremy. Good to see you. Yeah, where are you from? Okay, really? Great. And then you go over there and you want to get, right? You don't want to hang out. Now, introverted people, however, love to hang out with that one person at the party. There's safety in not having to go around to everybody. You're at the party, all right? That was huge. I got there. Now I just want to, I found a person I'll listen and I'll listen to them. Let's just talk this whole time. And one person, you know, maybe two at the most. And it's like, that's it. But they're not going to go around. They sit in their corner or they sit somewhere on a chair. They found a chair and it's their spot, right? Those are introverted people, right? Yeah. Okay, well, it's not wrong either way. God gave you that personality. God made you that way. You don't have to try to be extroverted at a party. And husbands that try to get their introverted wives to do that, we're forcing something on them that they're not, and vice versa. You can't force, come on, honey, get around and talk to everybody. Come on, and you're talking to that one lady over there in the crochet thing. What are you doing? Right? You can't do that. You can't get mad at that. She's introverted. She's deeper than you. You know, she's got a deep conversation. She knows way more about that one person. You don't know anything about anybody. You didn't even remember anybody's name at that whole party, extrovert, right? That's the way it goes. But that's how we're created. We don't have to try to pretend. God's done that. Okay. Then E, experiences. Experiences. He shapes us through all of this. All that happens to us is working for our good if we love God. If we love God. He says, look, we'll take everything. And we talked about last week in tragedy and suffering. You know, he'll take bad situations and he'll make good out of it. Doesn't turn the situation into good. It's a bad thing. But he'll make some good come out of it. All right, he'll use vocational experiences for you, educational ones, spiritual experiences, but he uses painful ones as well. He'll use these experiences. And we said last week, God never wastes a hurt. If you allow him, he'll work it into good. Let me take the example of divorce, because most, 50% of people are divorced. And that's not, God's plan. However, he will use it for good. In other words, who's the best person to help someone through the pain of a divorce? Well, someone who's been through the pain of divorce, right? God didn't want that person to get divorced, but they did. It was a bad thing. Something happened, and they got divorced. Well, now that person, God's not done with that person. He's saying, now I want to use you to help this person who's now in the middle of it, going through it, because you've been through it, and you can empathize with this person. So he'll take a bad situation, and he'll bring some good out of it. He does that. Who's the best person to help someone through an addiction, right? Drugs, alcohol addiction, right? Someone who's been through it, yeah, and they've conquered it, and they've been able to win. They're able to walk through it with someone who's battling it and in the middle of that pain of addiction. It's not God's will that someone gets addicted to drugs and alcohol. It's not his plan. But we have free will, and we choose things. And so then God says, okay, well, that's terrible. You overcame it. Good. Now I need you to help someone else who's in the middle of it. Okay? So he'll do that. He uses these experiences. Now that we got those 5 things, he does this. All right? He wants us to do 4 things here in your notes. He wants me, number 1, he wants me to understand how I'm made. You start living out these 5 things, because otherwise you're going to be frustrated with life. You're going to feel like a square peg in a round hole. That's how it's going to feel unless you live these things out. Well, how do you discover what you're supposed to do? One of the things you do, and we do this in our class, in our Step 3 class, is we teach you to look at your past. Okay, you can write that down. You got to look at your past. What were you good at as a kid? And then you're good at it as a teenager, and then you're good at it as a young adult. And guess what? You're good at it as you get older. Well, maybe there's a ministry there. Maybe there's something God wants you to do. Galatians 3 tells us, were all your experiences wasted? Well, I hope not. That's what it says. He's already been working in your life up to this day. That's important. You look back on your life in those 10-year increments, which we help you do, and you realize a certain pattern emerges. This is the thing that keeps coming out, it's clear. This is what I'm supposed to do because this keeps coming out, okay? So we'll help you with that. But look at this next verse in Romans 12:3. He tells us, try to have a sane estimate of your capabilities. I love that. And you know how you get a sane estimate of your capabilities? Write this down if you would. You got to try different serving opportunities. If you don't have a role, you got to find different opportunities. Try different opportunities. You're never stuck. Right? You're never stuck. You got to try different options. Some of you, again, you have artistic talent. Some of you have teaching talents. You're able to make kids laugh, and you can bring joy to kiddos, but you've never really tried it. Some of you should be teaching messages, but you haven't tried it yet. You need to do that. And again, the musical part of it is available, and some of you have that. All right? That's what we tell people when they're trying to find their ministry. We say, do anything. Try it. You're not stuck. And once you've tried it, if you don't like it, hey, we'll put you somewhere else and try you in something else. I mean, people all the time, if you're in the kids' ministry for a week and you realize, I gave my week. That's it. I ain't going back to kids' ministry. Well, don't leave the church just because you don't like kids. There's other ministries available to you. All right? Sometimes people feel bad because they tried a ministry, it didn't fit, and so they're like, I guess I don't fit here. No, not at all. You just don't fit with the kids because you hate kids. Okay? And that's, some people do. They hate kids. Well, we certainly don't want you working with kids if you hate kids. I mean, that's simple, right? Okay, so today, after our next service at about 12:15, 12:30, we're going to have a lunch and learn. You've been hearing about this. Why don't you come? We'll have our volunteer ministry leaders there. You can ask questions. They'll share about what they do in ministry. You get a free lunch out of it. Might as well. All right? And check it out. And you don't even have to be committed. You can say, I'll try some stuff. All right? Secondly, God wants me to accept how I'm made. He wants me to accept it. Once you figure it out, He wants you to walk in it. All right? Again, it goes back to this idea of music is just the easiest example, right? Let's say you really want to be a singer. Like if you ever watched American Idol back in the day, right? Doesn't that just bring to your mind these people that really think they're going to make it? And you listen to them, right? You're watching the show and you're just like, that is so bad. And then back in the day, it was Simon Cowell who was the honest guy. He'd be like, no, that's terrible. And they're like, well, I'm not going to stop my dream. I'm going to keep going. But everyone in the world can tell, you're insane. Like, you should not do that, right? All right, it says here to have a sane estimate of our capabilities. Well, we have to accept what we're gifted with and given. It causes us stress when we're trying to do something we weren't created for. Okay, that's called stress. And all through the world, people are pushing back against God. And right now, it's extremely popular, as we know, to push against God, even in creation, and how people are made. And they're saying, no, God, you made me wrong, and all this stuff. Okay, but every high achiever in life gets there by specializing. Right? They figure out what they're good at. Right now, the baseball playoffs are going on, and the LA Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw, the best pitcher in major leagues, and he's incredible. He's a really incredible pitcher. But can you imagine Clayton Kershaw saying, you know what, I don't want to pitch anymore. I want to play first base. I want to hit. He can't hit. He's a pitcher. Can't hit. All right? But can you imagine if he was like, I want to be a first baseman and a hitter because I want to hit. I want to hit more. Yeah, for a pitcher, he's decent. He's a decent hitter for a pitcher, but he's still a pitcher. It's terrible, right? Why is he so good at pitching? Because he's focused on pitching. He's not trying to do something he's not gifted to do. Look at Romans 9. It says, who are you, a mere human being, to argue with God? Should the thing that was created say to the one who created it, why have you made me like this? At some point, we got to accept this is my limitations. This is some things I'm good at. These are things I'm not good at. Listen, I've told you before, I love to sing, but I can't sing. Like, I love it. If you drive with me in a car and a good song comes on, woo! Who else does that? Anyone else like that? Yeah, right? It's like, It's just, you just belt it out. Now, if you belt it out longer, you start thinking, wait, I got this. I got this. No, we don't. No, we don't. Okay? 1 Corinthians reminds us each one should retain the place in life that the Lord has assigned him and to which he has called him. I will never be a worship leader. And you are very thankful for that. All right? So we have to understand that. God has given us certain gifts. Once we find them, man, we can absolutely walk in them. Leads us to the third thing. We get to enjoy them. We get to enjoy them. In Ecclesiastes, it says, to enjoy your work and to accept your lot in life, this is a gift from God. People who do this rarely look with sorrow on the past, for God has given them reasons for joy. When you are walking in what you're supposed to do, one of the main benefits, and you can write this down, is you get increased energy. Your energy increases. Have you noticed you don't really have a lot of energy for things you don't want to do, things you're not gifted at, things you don't care about that much? Now, to be sure, we have certain tasks we got to get done, but when it's your passion, what you're created to do, man, you get fired up. And again, when you're doing that, God's saying, that's my kid, that's my girl, that's my boy. I'm excited about that. Philippians 2 tells us it's God who is at work within you. What's that word there? Energizing. Would you circle that in your notes? Energizing and creating in you the power and desire to will and to work for his good pleasure and satisfaction and delight. Huge. God gives you that energy and power. And like that, he'll power you up with the lights. Here's the fourth thing, last thing. He wants me to work out my shape. All right? He wants me to work it out. That means we got to use it. We got to use it. Whatever we're supposed to be doing service-wise, we need to be serving. We need to be doing it because otherwise it atrophies. It's just like working out. When you work out with your muscles, they're expanding, they're growing, they're getting stronger. It's the same thing in serving. If we don't use the gift God's given us, we atrophy serving-wise. We end up, and here's the thing, we don't get the Jesus joy. When you're serving in the area you're supposed to be, you get that joy and that excitement, and this is what he tells us in 2 Timothy, keep using, look at that verse, keep using the gift that God gave you, and look what it says, let it grow as a small flame grows into a fire. He's saying when you use it, there's no task, there's no ministry too small. When you do something, no matter what it is, you do, other people want to do it too. And they can get excited about it. They can start being like, yes, I want to do that. And like it says, as you continue to do it, it grows. We have a baking ministry. Are you aware of that? Do you think that doesn't matter? Do you think like, oh, that's a little tiny ministry. That's a nothing ministry. That's my favorite ministry, okay? That's an awesome, no, it's not, but it's an awesome ministry, right? Why? Someone has a heart for baking. They've turned that into a ministry, okay? Some of you have hearts for other things. If we don't have an opportunity to serve in that area, start something. Start something. Okay? And lastly, 1 Peter 4:10. God has given each of you special abilities. Be sure to use them to help each other, passing on to others God's blessings. When you serve God by serving people, you are helping. You're helping other people. And you're helping other people in their relationship with the Lord. And that is what matters. It's picking up a towel. It's washing feet. That's what you're doing in whatever area, whether you're baking, whether you get on campus and you're one of our cleanup where you see stuff and you clean stuff up. Whether one of the things I've been wanting we haven't even talked about this, but I'd love to have people in those fluorescent vests out just directing traffic, parking. Did you know people drive by, they don't know where to pull in to park? It's like, you think we just, because if you come regularly, you're like, well, it's obvious. Well, because you came regularly. How many times did you pass it up, right? How about if we had people out there showing them the way? That's all you got to do. Is that a ministry? Yeah, that counts. That counts. There's so many different things we still need in order to really be a complete, but we just need people to say, you know what? This is what God's told me to do. Why? Because our core value says it all. Save people, serve people. Save people, serve people. And that's how you do Christianity. All right, let's pray. Thank you, Lord. We sure appreciate the fact that you have gifted us in different ways, and maybe for the first time some of us realize it's okay to have passions and desires that are godly, that are even ones that aren't even clear in the Bible, but you put these things in our heart, and that's okay, that we can use a passion, a thing in our heart that you've given us to your glory. I mean, we can go have fun to your glory. We can go surfing to your glory. We can go riding to your glory. We can do so many things that you've allowed on this earth, and that you've made this beautiful earth, and we can do all these things to your glory. And we can even turn them into a ministry to help others. So we thank you for that. The most important thing in your life, the most important decision that you have to make is to establish a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's number one. But after that, it's growing spiritually. In a big way that you grow spiritually is by serving. So as you discover how you're created, where you fit, there is no ministry too small. If the Lord of the universe can wash your feet, and I think we can do something to serve him. He leads by example. God, we love you. We thank you so much. Hey, if you need prayer, if you'd like someone to pray with you, please come forward. In just a moment at the end of the service, our prayer team would love to pray with you. God, thank you so much as you led as the chief servant, the lead servant we just follow. Maybe draw closer to your heart knowing you'll tell us what to do and where to go. We give you the praise, and it's in Jesus' name. And everybody say, amen. Put your hands together for the Lord.